Urgent, a nuclear apocalypse has begun. Israel and the USA are incinerating Iran. The radiation center is in ruins. The oil giant is in flames. Energy death and bunker assaults. US special forces are preparing a ground offensive. Iran is finished. Next is Moscow. A fatal strike on the Kremlin. Iran's military machine has been crushed. The Kremlin has been left without an important weapon. Meanwhile, this will explode. World prices for fuel is skyrocketing terribly. All this and more coming up. Watch until the end. Ukraine welcomes you today. Rinat Aslanov here with the latest events. Shock, a nuclear catastrophe in Iran. The world is shaken. We are on the brink of nuclear apocalypse. A blood-chilling report comes from the Middle East. A radiation nightmare has become reality. Iran's key nuclear facility in Isfahan has been reduced to ruins after an air raid. According to media reports, behind this attack stand the iron fist of the US and the crushing power of Israel. The Iranian agency confirms, on March 7th, not just a strike, but a combined hell was unleashed on the nuclear heart of the country. Missiles, smart bombs, and swarms of killer drones.
On March 7, 2026, the Zionist regime and the US carried out air and missile attacks. The radiation center sustained serious damage.
The agency reports that the damage is monstrous, but the world held its breath. No radioactive cloud has covered the region, and no emissions have been detected. However, the situation is hanging by a thread. Let us recall that it was on March 7th that Israel declared total war on Iranian facilities. The sky turned black with aircraft. More than 80 Israeli fighter jets dropped 230 tons of deadly metal on Tehran and the central provinces. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East is ablaze, and the situation has spiraled out of control. This morning, news arrived that will send global fuel prices skyrocketing. Iran delivered a retaliatory strike to the very energy heart of the region. A giant oil refinery in Bahrain has been attacked. The internet is already flooded with footage. The sky is shrouded in thick coal-black smoke, and eyewitnesses are filming the massive blaze in horror. Residents of Bahrain are crying out about a catastrophe. After the arrival of the Iranian kamikaze drone, the plant turned into a blazing torch. Earlier, the country's government also reported the strike itself. There are reports of injured people and damage. And this is not just an industrial facility, but the main oil refinery in Bahrain and one of the country's key energy sites.
We saw flames bursting from several storage tanks, which continued to burn for several hours after the nighttime airstrikes. And
one more final chord. The US and Israel are preparing an operation to finally pull out the nuclear teeth of the damaged Ayatollahs. According to Axios, elite Allied Special Forces units are currently discussing a plan to physically penetrate Tehran's most heavily fortified underground bunkers. The main objective is to forcibly seize or destroy on-site 450 kilograms of enriched uranium, which would be enough to create a nuclear bomb.
We're talking about approximately 450 kilograms of uranium, enriched to 60%. This could be enough for nuclear weapons if the material is further enriched to weapons grade. The removal of Iran's enriched uranium would require the presence of American or Israeli military forces on Iranian territory, including at well-fortified underground facilities.
Guest Secretary Mark Ruby has already openly hinted in Congress that this deadly stockpile will have to be sought out and taken. And to make sure Iran doesn't even think about resisting, the Pentagon is simultaneously considering seizing the strategic Kark Island, the country's main oil artery. The Iranian dictatorship has been crushed. It's a catastrophe for the Kremlin. Putin is left without weapons. For us in Ukraine, this outcome is a tremendous strategic victory. The destruction of Iran's military and economic machine means only one thing for the bunker grandpa. Moscow is forever deprived of its main supplier of ballistic missiles and Shahed kamikaze drones. The Axis has suffered a fatal breach that can no longer be patched up. The defeat of Tehran is a direct step toward the defeat of the Russian army on the battlefield. Iran is in a deadly dead end. Khamenei's successor is hiding in terror from the missiles. The US and Israel have delivered their verdict. The new leader is the next target. The regime is urgently paralyzed by fear. The Iron Dome has been breached, and the shadow of retribution now hangs over every candidate. See the details? Iran has already chosen a new leader, but they are trying to keep it secret for his safety.
Yesterday, the Iranian opposition agency, Iran International, and several Western media outlets reported the election of a new supreme leader of the Islamic Republic, and that this new supreme leader is the son of the previous one, Mojtaba Khamenei.
The Iranian authorities themselves deny that a new leader has already been chosen and state that they have decided not to rush this for now.
I don't have exact information. There are a lot of rumors surrounding this topic, but we'll have to wait for the assembly of experts, which will choose the new supreme leader.
The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps immediately denied these reports and stated that the election of the supreme leader has not yet taken place, and that it will most likely happen only after the farewell ceremony for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And as for when this ceremony will take place, no one knows as of today because the expected farewell, it has either been cancelled or postponed. It has become increasingly apparent that after several days of relentless and devastating American and Israeli bombings, Iran's entire governmental and military infrastructure is now in a complete state of paralysis.
The operation to eliminate the dictator Khamenei had been planned since November of last year. This was stated by the Israeli Minister of Defense. He added that they hope the Iranians will take power into their own hands and choose a democratic leader.
Back in November, we met with the Prime Minister at a small forum, and at that time he set the goal of eliminating the Khamenei regime. After consulting with the Israel Defense Forces and Mossad, the operation was planned for the middle of the year, sometime around May or June. But then unrest broke out in Iran, and we became concerned that, as a result of this pressure, the regime might want to launch a preemptive strike against Israel and against American forces in the region. Therefore, we had to speed up the operation.
If, however, the terrorist regime of the Ayatollahs decides to put forward a new candidate, he will become a new legitimate target for elimination.
I hope Iran will no longer be under the rule of Muslim clerics. The Ayatollahs will become a worthy republic with its own constitution where people can live freely. It is precisely this ideology that is the source of so much suffering, torment, and evil throughout the world. And the time has come to look at their future differently.
There are many rumors and speculations about who will rule Iran. Among the candidates are the son of the previous head of Iran and even the current president.
If the Iranian regime wants to survive, it will naturally have to rely on a mentor from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But here is the question: how much can the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps actually save the regime right now? From the intense bombings by the United States and Israel? This is a rather important question on which the survival of the regime in the coming weeks and months will depend. And by the way, it will also determine whether the new supreme leader survives, whoever that may be.
At this time, US President Trump even stated that he himself expects to approve the candidacy of the new supreme leader of Iran, just as he did in Venezuela.
This is a country with enormous potential, which can provide Iranians with a much better future. This is only the beginning. The United States will ensure that whoever leads the country in the future does not pose a threat to America, Israel, or to anyone else.
Obviously, there are only two possible outcomes to this situation. If the US enters into negotiations with Iran, then another dictator may end up leading the country. But if they see it through to the end, then the country will have a chance for a new leader and a new life.
Putin is next. There's panic in the bunker. The dictator is expecting a stab in the back after Khamenei's execution. Who among his inner circle has already prepared the noose? The countdown has begun. The tension in the bunker has reached its limit. The elimination of the Iranian leader was a clear signal for him. Russia is next in line for retribution. Watch for all the details.
Putin's weak spot has been found.
I don't even want to discuss such a possibility. I don't want to.
Well, they've already openly discussed it at the same time. Mr. Trump, Mr. Netanyahu.
I understand everything you're saying, but I honestly don't even want to begin to discuss it right now.
The lightning-fast overthrow of two Russian allies, Maduro and Khamenei, seriously frightened the Kremlin dictator.
Most of the people are already dead. We had a group in mind and they died. And now we have another group. Maybe they're dead too, judging by the reports. So I think a third wave is coming?
Paranoid. Putin realizes that the same fate awaits him next.
Putin sows destruction around himself, whether political or physical. That's the first thing. Second, well, it's like that game Battleship. There's just one square left to cross out. In
Moscow, they are trying to figure out how to respond further to Trump's unpredictable behavior.
If real patriotic reforms don't start in Russia now, the situation will simply become unpredictable. One by one, our allies are being systematically destroyed. It's clear who's next, and it's clear what negotiations with such an enemy mean.
Since Donald Trump returned to the White House, the Kremlin has avoided openly criticizing the US or its president. But now everyone is afraid for their own skin.
Here, of course, one can express deep disappointment that, despite information about significant progress in these negotiations, the situation has still deteriorated into direct aggression.
Propagandists openly admit that the Russian Federation could be next after Iran.
I'm assessing the prospects of what will happen. I understand very well what the next problem will be. For us, first and foremost, there is one question that worries me. When will they come after us? Or have they already started? And we understand that when they talk about Iran, they are also talking about Russia. They will now treat us the same way, striking Russia even more harshly.
The killing has undoubtedly affected Putin's two deepest instincts, his deeply rooted paranoia about his own longevity and his drive for political survival, defined by achieving victory over Ukraine at any cost. In
this instance, Putin commented on the situation in the Middle East without cameras present.
Please accept my deepest condolences regarding the murder of the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic, Ali Khamenei, and members of his family. A blatant violation of all norms of human morality and international law. And
still, notably, Putin did not name the countries behind the assassination.
Russians themselves perceive this as a situation where Putin has nothing to say. And this is seen as a sign of weakness. Russia is next, and Vladimir Putin is next. And when they talk about Amador and Khamenei, they see In
Russian circles, Khamenei's death prompted comparisons with the overthrow of another dictator whom Putin also called a friend.
The highly esteemed Mr. Gaddafi, our esteemed Libyan colleagues, and our dear friends, allow me once again to very warmly welcome you all here to Moscow.
At that time, he was not afraid to speak with journalists and did not hide his emotions. In 2011, Gaddafi's death truly enraged Putin. And
everyone killed him. His corpse was shown on all the world's TV channels. It was impossible to watch without disgust. And
afterwards, he stated that he was against solving problems by military means, as was done in Libya.
The murder of a person is in general a terrible crime. Armed groups that try to solve domestic political problems by force of arms.
3 years later, the Kremlin cannibal would go to war in Donbass and then seek to occupy all of Ukraine with bombings and killings.
Agreements on this matter are forced to be achieved with the help of the armed forces, namely demilitarization. We will not allow armed forces to exist in Ukraine that threaten the Russian Federation and its people. With
the years, Putin became more and more isolated from those around him. During the pandemic, he hid in a bunker, rarely appeared in public, and FSO officers had to quarantine. Now he has betrayed all his friends and comrades to whom he had promised help. And now the only thing left in the hands of the unstable Putler is nuclear weapons.
The elimination of Putin is a absolutely legal B. This approach appears quite promising. It is likely the most cost-effective and straightforward way to bring a definitive conclusion to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
Palace intrigues are intensifying. Venezuela and Iran have shown the extent to which traitors have infiltrated the inner circles of dictators. Putin is a coward and is afraid to carry out purges. Again, whispering in their ears that they could have been in the place of Iran and Venezuela.
My office was destroyed after an attack by the Israeli regime. I smell gas. I should leave this building.
If the head of the regime does not intend to arrange a transfer of power, then top officials and elite groups may start considering their own strategies. For this case,
today someone said, well, the president wants to do this very quickly. He will get tired of it, but I won't get tired of it.
The joint US and Israeli military operation currently directed against Iran will definitely hit Russia and Putin as well. It is all just beginning now. These dictators.
These individuals are forced to abandon their established positions and duties, facing a future where the only possible outcomes are a lifetime spent behind cold iron bars in a dark prison or meeting a premature and inevitable end through a tragic death that awaits them all.
Iran struck Azerbaijan with Shahed drones. 2 drones hit the building of an airport and a school.
We demand that our borders be treated with respect. We have not illegally crossed the borders of any other country. So our message was very simple. Enough. In a friendly manner, without publicity, we made it clear that this needs to stop.
Was this particular drone flight actually heading specifically in the direction of Turkey? Or was it a deliberate and intentional act? Did Iran send it to conduct, let's say, detailed reconnaissance and surveillance operations on the territory of Azerbaijan, including this very drone? Where exactly did it crash? Near the airfield. Perhaps Iran was checking whether there were any Western troops stationed there, primarily by Israel or the United States of America.
At this time, Azerbaijan is deploying air defense systems and putting part of its army on high alert. Units were transferred to border areas, and military personnel had their leaves cancelled. The 2 countries are one step away from yet another conflict.
The main risk for Azerbaijan really lies in its logistical role in the energy sector. And to shell this infrastructure does not require any prolonged military special operation on the ground from Iran. To put it in another way, this could indeed be carried out and implemented as a specific plan, aimed primarily at destabilizing the overall energy security situation for people living across Europe and the United States of America.
Azerbaijan resorted to special measures after an Iranian ballistic missile flew toward Turkey, Azerbaijan's main partner and protector. In
the context of regional tensions, we will not allow the security of our borders to be threatened. Under no circumstances will Turkey leave the defense of the country to chance and will act decisively. All necessary measures are being taken in coordination with NATO allies. Responses to potential threats will be carried out immediately. The armed forces are at full combat readiness and air defense systems are operating in enhanced mode.
Previously, it was clear that Azerbaijan would have preferred to remain neutral. They actively tried to build relations with Iran since they share a 700-kilometer border and simply have no other options. President Aliyev even sent an official letter to Iran expressing condolences over the death of leader Ali Khamenei. He also personally came to pay his respects. He visited the Iranian embassy to honor his memory.
I believe that at present, the relations between our countries are perhaps at the highest level in the entire history of our cooperation. And without a doubt, Iran and Azerbaijan, as 2 brotherly countries, must coordinate their efforts and contribute to development under conditions of long-term and sustainable peace for the benefit of all countries in the region.
The situation on the border between Iran and Azerbaijan is absolutely realistic. But it is still extremely difficult to imagine the possibility of any kind of preemptive and strategic special military operation by Azerbaijan against Iran at this point. It seems to me that both sides are currently caught in a tense and uncertain stalemate, patiently waiting for the other to make the next decisive move.
But in any case, aggression against yet another country, which is far from weak, is not in Iran's own interest either.
But then, of course, it's clear that Azerbaijan would get drawn into a military conflict, which is certainly not in Iran's interest. That, too, is absolutely obvious. An escalation by Azerbaijan, and consequently by Turkey, since they are strategic military partners, is exactly what Iran does not need right now, given its complicated internal situation.
We can only hope that the terrorist Iranian regime will fall soon and won't have time to cause much harm and suffering to peaceful, civilized countries.
Tell us about the latest events, share your opinion in the comments, like the video, and stay up to date with the most important news. There's more to come.